Welcome back, everyone. It is tier list day, and it is now time to talk about um, the closing of a chapter in my life fully. I've tried to do this time and time again, where I get roped back into playing World of Warcraft, and I think that I have closed that chapter finally. I have stepped away. I have called it good. Eventually, I will probably want to delete my characters when I'm mentally feel like I'm ready to do that. I will. But as far as playing the game goes, I'm done. It's just, it could be X, it could be Y, it could be Z. I've wanted to quit and stop playing for so many times, and I've been off of it now for a while, and I just there's no world where I go back to the craft. There just isn't. Um, I've done most of the things I want to. The game doesn't bring me any happiness. It brings me the opposite. It's just, I sit and waste time when I could be working on shit that brings me happiness, when versus flying around a new dumb fuck city that I don't care about, doing the same shit that I've done for 15 years. I'm quite jaded at this point. The amount of times that I've had to hear, oh, maybe this expansion will be better, that expansion will be better, and it's all the same. It never changes. Like, the scenery changes, the story is very mid. It always has been. And I don't have the passion for it anymore. I don't, there's nothing that can be said or done. So, to finalize the chapter closing, I'm going to do a Blizzard Entertainment games and expansions tier list. I don't think I'm closing myself out to all Blizzard games. I probably will dabble in Diablo on and off like I always do, and maybe Warcraft 3 every once in a while. But this is kind of a definitive, how do all these games rank in my head. Now, all the shit talk that I just did with WoW, I'm still going to give the expansions their due justice of how I feel they were, but I just want to make it clear for those of you who know that I've been a WoW player for a long time. It's done. All right, so first and foremost, we're going to start off with the OG Diablo. I think for what it is, it was great for the time being. I don't want to say, because I don't know the historical accuracy of this, but I think that it was probably the game that really put the action RPG on the map, if I remember right. Diablo Hellfire is the remake of it, and I feel like that's just at the same level. It's a short game, and it's pretty straightforward. You just go out and kill some shit, and then you're good. Diablo 2, we have talked immensely about Diablo 2 and the expansion. Diablo 2 is one of the most perfect games to exist. And I'm not just saying that to say it. Like, it is fun. The remake of it was great, too. Didn't miss. I feel like anyone who ever played Diablo 2 when it was in its like release period, it will always have fond memories of it. Whether you were a paladin fucking spinning 9,000 hammers, or you're a necro summoning 9,000 skeletons, or you were dumb like me and learned about trading, and then someone came into your world and managed to steal all your shit. There's that too. Diablo 2 is just one of the most enjoyable games to exist. And in Diablo 2, the remake, the resurrected version, proved so that it wasn't just nostalgia. It's still fun to play. Diablo 3, I hold Diablo 3 and the remake in pretty high regards too. I know that a lot of people didn't like it. I had Diablo 3 pre-ordered, got it night of, played it whenever, I don't know if the servers were up or down, I can't remember. Played it when it was still the extremely difficult version of the game where you had to go through, you beat it once, to unlock like hell mode, and then there was the other mode, and then there was like infernal mode. I don't remember what it was. It's way different than where it's at now, right? I remember I got to the 3rd unlock on a witch doctor, and I would like literally have my whole entire army, all of my cooldowns, and I would just get one shot by like zombies. I really enjoyed it, even though a lot of people didn't. I kind of felt like that was around the time frame of like difficult games wasn't really a popular genre. Now it is, right? Like everyone plays Elden Ring, everyone likes Sekiro, and you know, all these difficult games are on the map. But when that came out, it was still like climbing to that point, I feel. And people really disliked it because of how difficult it was. And then they changed stuff and changed stuff and changed stuff and changed stuff and changed stuff. Added a whole bunch of new things. There's new difficulties that go up to like Inferno 5000. I don't know. I didn't really stick with it. I've probably played 10 of the last 30 seasons. You know, enough through the season to get like a gear set and Paragon up and all that stuff. But I just think it's fun. The story that they told in Diablo 3 is pretty solid too. I enjoyed it. Act 3 kind of drags its ass a little bit, but and then the expansion was great. It just added an extra 15 to 20 hours to the story and some more features. Diablo Immortal, I tried. I really did because I was excited to have Diablo on my phone. Dog shit. Diablo 4, I really tried to not be on the fan bus or the bus of fuck Diablo 4, because I know that it was driving pretty quick and there's absolutely no breaks. I played the whole campaign pretty bored. Got to the end game, ran the, what do they call it? I don't even remember now. Caves or dungeons or monasteries or whatever the fuck it is. Ran them until I was bored and got to, I don't even know if I made it to level 100. I think I did. Got bored beyond belief. Haven't touched it since. Probably, I mean, it would take a lot for me to spend money on their expansion right now too, because it's like a full $40, I think. Probably not getting me back. However, I will say that it could be one of those situations where as time goes on, if they stick with this as their primary thing, they don't do a Diablo 5. So, I mean, the gap between Diablo 3 and 4 was pretty fucking long. I don't know if it was longer than 2 to 3. I'm not quite sure. But, you know, if they stick with Diablo 4 being the main game, and they do updates and they run a bunch of expansions, then maybe. But as it stands right now, probably not getting me back. Starcraft, the expansion, and the remaster. I mean, the remaster was actually pretty not great. OG Starcraft is one of the best RTS to ever exist. It still is. I still play Starcraft and Starcraft 2. I'm not like religiously, but I can still hop on and throw some hands and handle myself in a Starcraft match. And it's one of those games that's super fun when you got friends who, you know, you haven't played with in a long time or whatever, and it's like, let's fucking throw down on some Starcraft. Honestly, I think what killed Starcraft and Starcraft 2 is the community. Just like what we're seeing with League of Legends now, how it has become so unbearably toxic to enjoy, like to play that game. Starcraft's community was kind of like that in the sense of like just ever loving talking shit, and just no one really had fun, and the ladder grind got too much, right? That StarCraft 2 has fallen from its grace. It really was the powerhouse of esports, and now it's pretty non-existent. Shout out to Lag TV though. They're back doing their thing and they're phenomenal. And speaking of StarCraft 2, I felt like it was one of those, I don't know about, I'm not going to rank these because I really don't understand. I've played all the expansions, but it doesn't really change the game. It's just the campaign. I don't know. StarCraft 2, I feel like one thing that Blizzard has always done is it seems like when they did their sequels from the 90s into the 2000s, well, I guess that's a bad example because StarCraft was 2010. I guess a better thing to say is I don't know of many other games that have had a time gap as long as StarCraft into StarCraft 2 and somehow managed to make a as superior game. I would say that's pretty rare. Hearthstone, Hearthstone's phenomenal. I even think that you could probably put Hearthstone in S tier. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up and just have like the primary versions of the game. Even though I've played all this, I feel like it's going to get messy as the list goes on. So just know, I mean, if you're here to this point, all these have been played. Yeah, I think Hearthstone's got to be an S tier because my thing with Hearthstone is like I've put in a lot of hours in it and I haven't even really scraped the main game. I play fucking Battlegrounds. Battlegrounds is a blast. The only thing that I would say Hearthstone has against itself is that it is expensive as shit if you want to play the main game in a competitive fashion. Heroes of the Storm, you know, I think in a different timeline, Heroes of the Storm could have been fantastic, but you were competing against Dota and League at a time where those two games were very healthy and exciting. You gave a game that was awesome because you could play all the fucking Blizzard heroes and have fun with it, but there was just there wasn't enough there for it to make it worth playing like a ranked version or grinding it. It was just for fun, it felt like. Still awesome to see it. It's fun to be able to play a match with literally Diablo, Jim Raynor, Thrall, and fucking I don't know who else, Kerrigan and Genji on the same team. You're like, what the fuck? Oh man, let's fucking get into this. So OG Overwatch was fucking great. I spent so many hours on it, loved it to death. I mean, I would buy cases for the holiday seasons. I would grind ranked for a small period of time. I fucking would play all the fun little matches. I would play the Halloween Junkerstein event, and I'm just thinking that right now because it would be that time to do it. 6v6 was great. It was toxic like any online game. I would say as or equally as toxic as any of the major ones. But it was fun. It was fun to grind. Ranked was challenging. The characters were unique. And I just don't know what they did to really just fuck Overwatch 2 up. I don't know if like the combat seemed more polished, but the 5v5 was dumb. You don't get skins like how you used to, which was like kind of the main thing for a lot of people is like there's a like just playing the base game would earn you loot boxes that could earn you skins. I feel like that model was removed because I don't know, an excuse to say it's gambling and then force people to buy all the fun shit. I don't know. I've tried with Overwatch 2 and there's just something wrong. OG Orcs versus Humans. I mean, that's where the boots on ground started. It's not great. Doesn't hold up the test of time, but for when it came out and what it was, not bad. I do have an Infinity, and I'm going to rank this with the expansion set. I do have an Infinity for, and this is the remaster, so we're just going to put this down here too. Warcraft 2 is great. I think it's a big step up from Warcraft 1. It's still not something that I would go and play right now just because of the it's very dated, but still good. Expansion, we're going to go down here. It's been played. Now I am going to rank these two separately just because and this one. Just because I feel like it needs to be. When Warcraft 3 came out, that was a very interesting time in my life. I was in a different state than I am now, and or at least like while it was in its heyday. And then Frozen Throne was just a absolute masterpiece of a game. Like, the base game was great. The multiplayer RTS of Warcraft 3 was phenomenal. I was an undead player. I played a lot. I had all of the undead little profile icons unlocked, and then I had a good chunk of the random ones unlocked. I loved Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne. And then I came across a little thing called the custom game section. And lo and behold, that is where Dota, the game that everyone knows is a Steam game now, that's where Dota came from, was Warcraft 3 custom games. And it was so popular and so enjoyable that the developers of Dota branched off and created their own thing. I have so many fond memories of playing Dota on Warcraft 3 that I could probably talk about it for hours. And not only was Dota a thing, but I played all of the fucking fun custom games. All the tower defense ones, the White Tower Defense, Duke Winter Mall, Shopping Mall, Warcraft Mall. I did all the Naruto RPG ones, all the Dragon Ball Z RPG ones, the Auto Battlers. Like, Warcraft 3 Reforged, speaking of it, absolute drop the ball fundamentally. Even though they dropped the ball fundamentally on the game itself, I mean, they didn't even update the fucking cutscenes, bro. The custom games still exist, and there's still a small community of people pushing out the custom games, which is great. But yeah, Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne, peak. And then we're into our World of Warcrafts. So I don't really know how I want to go about this. I think I'll just rank them and kind of talk about World of Warcraft. I don't understand what this one is compared to this one. I mean, it's Horde, so we're definitely going to use the Horde one. I don't think that's a different box art for a different one. So we're just going to go Vanilla, BC, Wrath, Kata, Pandaria, Draenor, Legion, BFA, Shadowlands, Dragonflight, oops. And then World of Warcraft Classic, because it's the same thing. And Hardcore. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really play enough Hardcore to justify ranking it. There's some missing here. I don't know which one off the top of my head. I think there's one missing. I mean, World of Warcraft is what it is, right? I've spent a portion of my life playing it, and a portion of in-game time that if I told you all how much it was, you'd be like, oh wow, that's fucking disgusting. You know, everyone picks their hobbies, and I picked World of Warcraft for a long time, and I would never say that I regret it, because it's, you know, I am where I am today, and it was a part of my life, and I've met a lot of awesome people throughout the years, and you know, some of them I'm still in contact with. There's some that I met during literal Wrath of the Lich King that, you know, I still have communication with on a semi-regular basis, you know, whatever that means. At least Facebook friends with some of them. And then throughout all the other years of playing it, and you know, it was a great way for my dad and I to game together, because he gamed. We both played WoW. We spent countless amounts of hours doing BGs and all that type of shit. And you know, I'm pretty sure I've done every raid in some capacity, whether that's heroic, normal, raid finder. I'm pretty sure I've cleared every raid up until this new expansion, and maybe the last expansion I didn't do all of them. It was the perfect game for a long time. It really was, because you had progression, you had skill gap, you had PvP, you had PvE, you had dailies, you had exploration, you had professions. Like it was so well rounded that it immersed into your life 100% if you let it. As I got older and, you know, just wanted to live and do other things outside of World of Warcraft, I let it fall to the wayside. And I would say realistically from about Warlords of Draenor all the way up until now, I haven't played it as serious. I've done a couple serious things here and there. When I say serious, I mean like hardcore raiding or heroic raiding or whatever, key pushing. I don't know. It's just there becomes a point in time when you just ask yourself, and this goes with anybody, right? It's not just World of Warcraft. It's any hobby. It's anything that was a passion that isn't anymore. You ask yourself, why am I doing it? Am I doing it because it's comfortable and easy? Am I doing it because I'm addicted to this game and the little boosts of serotonin and you know, fucking getting the next piece of gear and getting the next thing? Like, was I just addicted to chasing that for so long? Am I still getting the enjoyment out of the social aspect of it? Because I had quit, right? Around, I don't know. I've quit so many times. It's literally addiction. World of Warcraft is addiction. You know, I quit whenever BFA, somewhere around there. I was just like, well, I just don't want to play this anymore. It's dog shit. So I didn't. I stopped, and I didn't touch anything for a while. And then they announced Classic was coming back. World of Warcraft Classic. And I had such a weird experience when Classic was out, because I was literally in 4th grade. It came out in 2004, and I was in school in that weird period where whatever year it was what grade I was in. So it came out in 2004. I was in 4th grade. My dad got it. All of the people that he worked with at the time were playing it. And we would literally, like, I would get home from school, and he would be here, and then he would go to work, and then I would play, right? And that was in between schoolwork, and I played baseball and all the sports and shit. So, like, when I wasn't doing that, I would be playing WoW. And, like, in a weird roundabout way, like, I mean, I'm not going to get into my childhood, right? But, like, I was socializing with older people in WoW, and I enjoyed that because, like, I just didn't really... There was times where I struggled connecting with kids my own age because, like, a lot of my interactions were adult interactions. And not just from WoW, but just, like, how my life was at that time. And I just really liked it, and it was fun to be like I was in a guild and I was raiding. So then, you know, back then I got to the point where my guild, like, collapsed because of a boss, and I told myself, and I was like, well, and at this time I was streaming when World of Warcraft Classic came out. I'm like, well, maybe I'll stream some of it and I'll use that as an excuse. I'll create this character that I'll kind of be like a goofball, so, like, socially, like, I'm this new guy, like, I'm gonna play a character on this server, and then you know, maybe I'll push as far as I can, like, to beat that boss that my old guild couldn't, and kind of have, like, this nostalgic victory in my head, right? Because it was a real big bummer when my guild fell apart when I was a kid. You're a kid. Little, like, things like that impact you way harder than they do now. So, you know, we're in the thick of it. I'm in a guild with 40 people running Molten Core. You build all these relationships, and, you know, I was very outspoken because I was playing this character, and his name was Uncle Creepy. You know, I was very goofball, like just being funny, like literally playing a character. Um, and we pushed all the way to um, the boss that destroyed my guild, and we struggled for a minute. I was like, oh my god, is it gonna happen again? And we eventually got it down, and we killed the last boss. And, you know, one thing led to another, and that guild did end up falling apart, sadly. And then I've kept in touch with, I don't know, a dozen of those people over the past 4 or 5 years, and, you know, I've enjoyed the time with them, as, you know, very dearly. But I started realizing that when I don't remember exactly where everything happened, right? Like, I was like, okay, well, I think I'm going to be done for now with Classic. Like, I got what I needed out of it. There was Guild, like, everyone was kind of splitting up, and I had a couple options. I'm like, I'm just going to be done. And then Burning Crusade came around, because no one knew it was going to happen. We attempted to reform the Guild. There was drama. People were too worried about loot, not worried about the Guild stuff. I felt like I wasn't able to enjoy the social aspect of it because of some of the people who were involved in the guild were just fucking buzzkills. And it's hard to be socially, like, enjoying the social aspect when the guild's not doing well either, because people aren't paying attention. And then finally there was just a boiling point with something, a piece of gear, who knows. And that fell apart, and I'm like, well, fuck it. I just, you know, whatever. I don't really want to play anymore. Got back into when Wrath came out. Did a full 180. Didn't play with any of the other people except one. That one person played on the Alliance. Joined his old friends. Their guild, kind of similar to what was happening, where they were just not. There was like a core group of people who are good, and then they were carrying some people who weren't good, but no one wanted to be mean, and then that fell apart. And then I was in this weird boat where it's like, okay, well, I have these characters on different versions of Classic. I could play some Classic, and then I rejoined Shadowlands kind of near the end of it, or I started Shadowlands, quit, rejoined at the end of Shadowlands, was kind of bored, raided a little bit, PvP'd a little bit, didn't really think much of it. Dragonflight came out, same thing, started it, didn't really care for it, got bored. Came back to Dragonflight near the end, did some heroic raiding, pushed keys. The guys at this point I'm playing with are some of the OGs from Classic and some new people, and there's big discrepancies between, like, who's really good and who's just kind of good. And I try to jump into playing a character that I've never played before, and I was doing okay, and then there was more guild drama, and that just completely shuts me down. And then this new expansion came out, and same shit, different expansion, right? Drama and bullshit, and the game's not any different than it has been for Classic, right? It just looks prettier, and they just tell you a story so you don't fucking get mad at them for not telling a story, and then they just tweak little things here and there so you just shut up and play the game until you're bored. Pay them their money. I don't remember where this was going, but this is my list. Sorry for the tangent. It's nice to talk about it, because, like, right now I'm literally in the midst of people not talking to me about it because I bailed because of drama. So it's nice to talk about it. If anybody who is involved watches this, which I doubt, I mean, yeah, it's fucking drama. Dumb. I'm not going back ever. Like I said, I'm probably going to delete my characters, which will be a very weird feeling. Because I mean, I've had a couple of my characters literally since 2004, so they're 20 some odd years old, and all the different things are on them. But I just, at some point, you just got to close the chapter. You know, you gotta move on to things that are making you happy and not get stuck in things that aren't. So, I don't know if I really give a shit about other people's opinions on this. I mean, pretty on par. I'm pretty sure all Blizzard people are gonna think the same way. Yeah. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.